let's review Top Gun Maverick. I'm going to head on over to the deets. Top Gun Maverick is a 2022 American action drama film directed by Joseph Kosinski and written by Aaron Kruger, Eric Warren Singer, and Christopher McQuarrie from a story by Peter Craig and Justin Marks. A sequel to Top Gun 1986, the film stars Tom Cruise as Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, reprising his role from the original alongside Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, John Hamm, Glenn Powell, Monica Barbaro, Lewis Pullman, Ed Harris, and Val Kilmer. Set 36 years after its predecessor, it follows Maverick's return to the United States Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instructor Program, also known as Top Gun, where he must confront his past as he trains a group of young aviators, among them the son of Maverick's deceased best friend, Goose. Development for a Top Gun sequel was announced in 2010 by Paramount Pictures. 2010. Cruise and Kilmer were approached to return in their roles from the original, as were producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Tony Scott. By mid-2012, a draft of the screenplay was finished. However, Scott died by suicide and the film's pre-production was put on hold. The film is dedicated to Scott's memory. In June 2017, Kosinski was hired and wrote a new draft of the script. Principal photography took place from May 2018 to April 2019 in California, Washington, D.C. and Maryland. The film was shot using IMAX-certified 6K full-frame cameras. Its release, initially scheduled for July 12, 2019, was delayed first by efforts to shoot several complex action sequences and then by the COVID-19 pandemic and scheduling conflicts. Top Gun Maverick premiered at the CinemaCon on April 28, 2022 and was theatrically released in the United States on IMAX, 4DX, ScreenX and Dolby Cinema on May 27, 2022 by Paramount Pictures. It will also be released on Paramount Plus after its theatrical run. The film was released to widespread critical praise, with many reviewers deeming it superior to its predecessor. The film has grossed $557.2 million worldwide, making it the fourth highest grossing film of 2022. Probably behind at this point Doc Strange and Batman and something else. Yes, crazy to think that we could have got this film 3 years ago, gents, were it not for a couple of little reshoots, and then bam, COVID hit, and then all of a sudden it gets pushed back, way back. I'm most keen. I did have one issue, and we'll get into as well, but apparently 36 years after the original, that makes Miles Teller's character of Rooster 40 years old.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
you
okay.
My career back years, plus 36 more, and I was about 6 at the time, so I'm 50.
Yeah.
Anyway, IMDb, ratings, gents. Oh my goodness. I knew I was missing something here. Let's see here. I didn't actually pop them down, but I do know the Rotten Tomatoes. Well, let me just quickly get to the IMDb ratings and the Metacritic. Oh my goodness. 117,000 users on IMDb, granting it an 8.7 out of 10. Crazy. Places it in the site's top 250 films of all time at number 43 so far.
What?
Likely to drop over time. That's it's soaring to new heights. And the Metascore 78, pretty damn high. Rotten Tomatoes, gents. Take
89, Shane. 89.
Oh, that's high.
I'm pretty sure it's higher than that.
Oh.
I might have even seen it
on
Facebook.
cheating.
I think I saw it on Facebook, but I might be thinking of a different movie. Is it in the mid 90s, 95?
97% certified fresh. 97.
Yeah.
97.
I think it might have been Morbius, or it might have been this. The audience score and the critic score was identical. I saw it in a meme, and it's on this we agree or something like that. Was the tagline. I'm like, oh damn it! Now I know what the thing is. So
there's a guy on Twitter by the name of Benji Sales. He tweets out a lot of usually video game stat related, like sales numbers and that sort of thing, but he also does film stuff. I thought this was interesting. He says actual numbers for Top Gun Maverick second weekend were somehow even better than its record breaking estimate. Domestically, $90 million, only a 29% drop week on week, so from week 1 to week 2. Best ever for any movie that opened above $100 million. So usually a really poor drop would be something like 60+%, which is what Doc Strange saw actually. So word of mouth spreads that hey, not everyone's loving this, and then not a lot of people rush out to see it the second week. But the word of mouth on this movie is so strong that it only dropped 29%. And 8th biggest second weekend ever, bigger than Spider-Man No Way Home. $557 million globally so far. So
I don't like
it's going limits.
language there, Shane. I don't like the idea. Like, it puts this silly idea, which is not the way that it works in your head at all, that um, everyone went and saw it again except for 27 people. Like, it's not that it retained those
Yeah.
people. It
Yeah.
didn't keep. It didn't only drop a little bit. It's like, no, they got 80 something. Everyone went and told 87% of people that saw it went and told their friends, and then they went and saw it too, which is huge. Like,
Massive,
that's great.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
it, yeah. Anyway, Terry, Dulcet Tones, you're
Yeah.
closer, sir. I'm keen to hear, just quickly, Top Gun, and then your excitement going into Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, okay. So I loved the first Top Gun film. Loved like the naval pilot stuff. I grew up watching heaps of like the late 80s, 90s films that were all about warplanes and aircraft carriers and all of that sort of stuff. Loved it. Absolutely frothed on it. So I really, really liked the first Top Gun film. Brilliant soundtrack. When I was young, I wasn't really there for like the romance angle or like the interpersonal relationship angle. I was really only there for the Tomcats, like the jets. But it's like really, really enjoyable. It is interesting to compare these two films where the first Top Gun film used a lot of stock footage of these aircraft from, various, stock footage collection points, and they reuse some of the same stock footage within the film a couple of times. This Top Gun Maverick does not do that, like at all. Like they did a really, really, I suppose that's like movie budgets and things like that. They're just like, we're gonna borrow a couple of these like really expensive, I suppose semi-heritage aircraft from the various places where they're still stored, and we're going to do some filming with them, and that's really impressive. My impressions going in, I didn't know what to expect, but I like Tom Cruise as an actor, like separating personal life stuff, like the weirdness. I like the energy that he brought to this role. Like, this guy's, how old is Tom Cruise now?
50, mid-50s, I want to say.
And like, the dude's cut. Like, he's in very good physical condition. Like, there's a scene in this where he's sprinting, and I'm like, I don't know anyone in their 50s that can sprint and it be worthy of the term. Like, I can imagine someone in their mid 50s running for all they're worth and it not being very fast.
Holy crap, he's 60 next month.
Okay, so yeah, he's 60 next month, and like, he is flat out sprint. I'm like, that dude is like a racehorse for speed, and the way that his body, like, we all love the Tom Cruise run in like Mission Impossible and stuff like that he does, like absolutely pumping his arms and his little legs for all that they're worth. Yeah, I think the standout for me in this film is definitely his physical performance, the way that he does everything. He's on top of everything that he's doing. He's aware of where his arms are and what he's doing with the jets. And like, I love the fact that you're seeing these different camera views of these aerobatics and the dogfighting sequences and things like that, which I think I've ended up watching so much stuff about this film that I'm now I'm getting flight simulator recommendations in my YouTube of guys that are like, these are the planes from Top Gun, and like and then I like that video, and so that person's channel is now being recommended to me like carte blanche. And there's just all of these different types of games that are flight simulator games for like military aircraft and stuff like that. And it's all kind of come from this film. The film has left me feeling really excited for airplanes again in a way that I don't think that I was expecting that it would. And like, I don't know, it just made me did you guys ever play the Ace Combat games?
Yeah, totally.
I freaking love the Ace Combat games. This kind of makes me want to go back to my old consoles, which I don't even have anymore, and pick up these Ace Combat games, because
It's
they're
like a
so
cool
good.
action scroller shooter RPG. It was cool.
Yeah, and like you unlock other jets and you can change the loadouts. The only thing that's really unbelievable about it is the number of missiles that you can have on a mission in the Ace Combat games. But like all of those vibes, like everything about this movie is making me think about all of these other things that I also really enjoy, while also being enjoyable by itself. It's not like the mouthful of something that makes you think of something that you like more. It's like, this is amazing, and it reminds me of these other things that I also enjoy. Yeah, really, really good performances. A little predictable in some of the beats, like all of these big swinging dick pilots that are like the creme de la creme, like referring to him as Pops in the bar, and they're kind of ribbing him and treating him not necessarily the nicest, because like he's an older guy, and there's like this youthful arrogance that these guys have because they're the best of the best. And then like predictably it's like, oh, they obviously don't know who they're dealing with, and then the next day like they see who they're dealing with, and like, I guess, what's the guy's name? Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell.
Yeah, Glenn Powell.
Love that guy.
So good.
And he's like, his response where he's like, oh, son of a bitch, like I threw that guy out of the bar.
They're
He's
doing
my instructor.
They're doing that's an homage to the first movie, right? He has the exact same scene in the first film, where he's hitting on the girl, and then she shows up as the expert on,
right,
and she's going to be so she's there.
Charlie,
she shows up, and then he's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I wasn't there for the interpersonal stuff.
Right,
It's been a long time since I've seen Top Gun, so I completely forgotten about that. So it's cool. They're kind of nodding to the roots of the film. I liked the slight change from like a volleyball scene to it being like double gridiron on the beach. I thought that was kind of interesting, and it was like, but there was an explanation for it. There doesn't seem to have been an explanation, or at least not one that I can remember, for them playing volleyball, except that they're competing with each other, where this is him actually getting them to work as a team and build. It's proper team building. I liked that everyone had a call sign, even like the higher ups, like John Hamm's character.
He's like a real stick in the mud kind of by the books guy, and his tag name is Cyclone.
Yeah, Cyclone. But he's like very, I don't know. I like that they address his age and the fact that he's still only a captain, because like most people that are in the military for a long period of time, there's advancement, but it's like not for Maverick, because this is what he does. This is who he is. That's like the core of his being. Is like he didn't join so that he could progress and develop a career that would lead to like political aspirations like some people treat the military. He's like, no, this is like, I did this for this, like, so I can kick ass and take names and barrel roll and like, fly the fastest jets and the most sophisticated weapons platforms that the American military have, and they've got some Gucci gear. It kind of makes sense. There's probably one thing that I found a little bit like, he's self-destructive in a way that maybe like when he was younger, it kind of makes a bit of sense. Like he's really cocksure, super arrogant, and he's pushing boundaries. But after having been in this role for as long as he has, he's still kind of doing shit that he really ought to know better than. And so like that whole test pilot sequence at the start of the movie, I like that there's like the flyover kind of thing, and that was a really visually stunning thing, and it like practically blew the roof off that guardhouse. But he's like, the guy who's your brain in the chair says like, this is the goal, not this, not this, this. If we get to the goal, that's mission accomplished. And I'm like, that's language that a soldier should understand. Mission accomplished is mission accomplished. Like, if you accomplish the mission and then you keep shooting, that's war crimes. Like that's like you're in trouble now because you've overstepped the parameters of the mission at hand. But he does it, and then consequences. And like, I don't know. I liked the interaction that he had. He's like, I'm doing it. Like the guy's like, you know that if you do this, what the consequences might be. He's like, I know what they might be for me if I do it, but I know that it's this for everybody else if I don't. So I'm doing it so that everybody else still has a job. I'm like, that's cool. He's like looking out for the team player, which is what he was in the first film, but he's still like just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Like he's already pushed the boundaries of you know what he's like the aircraft is supposed to be capable of, and like he's like, maybe it'll take a little bit more, and it's like it shouldn't be doing what it's doing now. Like you're so far beyond what you thought you would. Anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit on that. I don't think there's anything else that isn't going to start getting into like spoiler stuff that I've got to say. Really, really liked it. I liked the soundtrack. I liked the training montage sequence as he's like briefing these guys on the mission. He's like, this is what our task is. These are what you've got to do. Love every scene that has Tom Cruise across from John Hamm and how he's like breathing down his neck and he's not doing the best job of like building positive rapport. And oh gosh, what was the guy, the other head honcho's call sign? It was like Spectre or something like that. I can't remember, but he's like, you like timing. You need to work on your sense of timing. But yeah, I loved that whole training sequence.
Was
Every
it
moment.
Phantom?
I think it might have been Phantom. Yeah,
Ed Harris's character?
No, the African American gentleman.
Oh yeah.
Gosh. Yeah,
Like
Ed
the
Harris is
character
running in it. Yeah, Top Gun Maverick. Call signs.
I can't believe we've gone this far without talking about the stashes.
Warlock.
Yeah, Warlock. Really cool call sign. That's a really cool call sign. They were some pretty prodigious mustaches. Like, I hope it's a real stash that
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
Mate, if you're going to a Tom Cruise film set and Tom Cruise is flying the jet, you better grow the mustache. You better do that at least.
Yeah. No, but I mean, not everyone can. But it is a very glorious moustache that he has grown.
That reminds me of a Graham Norton interview that he did with Tom Cruise and the crew for Mission Impossible Fallout. It was Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, and Henry Cavill on the couch. And he asked the three of them, was like, because Tom Cruise says yes to all these crazy things, does that mean you automatically have to say yes to anything your character needs to do? And Simon Pegg's like, fucking hell, yeah, it means that. Like, that's the worst. Because we can't complain if we just have to, jump out of a moving vehicle at a bare minimum compared to Tom Cruise hanging onto the side of an airplane.
As it takes off.
Yeah.
With like, I think one anchor rope.
Yeah.
There's not really much else that I want to say. I think that it's pretty well executed. That chef's kiss to this film.
Nice.
They did a really, really good job with everything. I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't think it deserves 97%.
I mean, that's just 97 out of 100 people giving it a thumbs up. 78 is the average Metascore. So.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely doesn't deserve to be in the top 50 of films of all time. I'm sure that'll slide down. But my gosh, was it enjoyable. I will say my cinema going experience was not as good. I watched it at Tugra and I forked out the extra money for VMAX.
You're saying all the good things right now.
Yeah. And everything was going great. Got myself... Oh, they've reestablished the self-serve lollicups and... watermelons and strawberries and blueberries and raspberries. Like, yes.
Oh my.
Oh my. That was really good.
So
but then
what could have gone wrong?
The film starts and I wasn't sure if I was crazy.
Even better.
There was an echo of all of the vocal track. So every time someone was speaking, there was a really solid reverb that was
Right.
bordering on an echo, like a quarter of a second. So it's like, yes, like just really,
Really?
really, yeah. It was horrible, and it was
Right.
throughout the whole film. I
I
thought,
have
oh, maybe it was
literally
just that
left
scene.
in movies where that has happened and gone and talked to someone.
Yeah,
I'm like, the audio is all crap. Something's happening.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have, but it was pretty distracting. I don't hold that against the movie. I hold that against the cinema.
Mm.
I should have said something, Ben. You're absolutely right. I was comfortable though. I was fully reclined.
Well, you
Those
know what they
recliners,
say,
man.
Terry?
Fully reclined.
See something, say something.
That is true. That's isn't that Borderlands Security? For the, or
Oh, it sounds like a campaign against domestic violence or something.
it's yeah. Well,
Pretty sure
I'm
it was a
pretty sure-
campaign to stop bad movies screens.
Yeah,
Screen.
no, I'm pretty sure it was counter-terrorism. Yeah. So yeah, I can't fault the film for the bad cinema experience. But yeah, good.
Nice.
I kind of want to watch it again. I'd like to go and see it again.
Mr. Movies, over to you, sir.
This
Do
is
you feel
perfect
Mavericked?
film- I feel Mavericked, yeah. This is a perfect film to talk about after we just talk about the having all the potential and losing it in Next. This like lived up to its potential like nothing could. Like this one had everything to lose, and it really didn't. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a fan at all of fan service, but this was something else. There was a couple of fan servicey things that I didn't love, like why is Penny living in the same house, the exact same house that the girl
Charlie,
from
yeah.
Charlie from the original film lived in? I'm like, what? It's the exact same place on the same corner of the same street, just to have us there again? Like that's just silly. But all the other things I actually really quite liked. I don't know if you call it fan service, but I really loved the operation that they're running is like Star Wars. It's the trench run. You're going through the trenches, and you've got to shoot the thing, and then there's a targeting computer
Yep, that's it.
element to it as well.
Tiny
and, you know,
target.
teeny tiny
Impossible
miracle
odds.
shot.
Stay on
Yeah.
target.
I loved all of that stuff.
Use the
even though
Force.
It wasn't even the same. It's not even the same film franchise.
Yeah.
Other notes. Miles Teller, OMG. I wrote that.
Yeah.
I wrote. Sorry, Shane. I wrote Zac Efron, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
Because like that really
Shredded.
did it for you. Like yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
Mm.
And the stash and
Yeah.
the like. I didn't love how everything's old school. Like they're listening to old music, and he's playing the piano. He's singing Great Balls of Fire as another throwback to the original film and another bit of fan service, I guess. But you know, kids have their own songs, even ones that know how to play some tunes on the piano. So I don't know, but otherwise, I was really impressed with.
You just want him to crack out the drums again, Ben. Is that right?
Yeah. Caravan.
Caravan in the
At
bar.
least play some jazz or something, you know, keep it in the vein. But look, the picture looks amazing. Like
Yeah.
because it's filmed on IMAX, I guess. The color of Miles Teller is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest tan you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's such a good tan. He's got such an orange glow about him. He's got that 80s action orange hue that they pump up in post or whatever. But I can't imagine that the outside the cockpit looking in shots of the planes, which were all real. I'm pretty sure almost all those shots were just filmed. I don't think they were filmed on film. I can't imagine the
Oh yeah. Those would be digital cameras.
They're
Description.
digital.
Yeah.
Everything else I think is on film, which looks really great. Everything else on the ground looked really great.
Yeah.
I loved the whole set piece. That was the third act. I was strapped in at that point. Like the movie could have dropped me by that point. I didn't care, but it didn't. I was in, and then they delivered this whole action 40 minutes of blissful third act to completely counter next third act
Yeah.
of terribleness. I'm also so super glad that there was no sex scene, like that there was no
Yeah.
15 7-year-old Tom Cruise at the time of filming, and Jennifer Connelly, as glorious as she is, really just glad that they didn't do a homage to the sex scene in the original. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like the silhouetted tongue action is just terrible. Terrible.
Have you guys seen Hot Shots?
No.
No.
Hot Shots parodies Top Gun,
Okay.
and they parody that scene really well.
He is trying to
Anyway.
like pluck a grape with his tongue inside of her face. Is terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
I physically recoiled when I watched Top Gun for the first time a few weeks ago. By the way, I'd never seen it in my whole life
you'd never
until
seen it.
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah.
leading up to this. And there was a point that I didn't think this, but I saw my favorite movie podcast about this film that was raised by them, and I loved it. So I thought I'd bring this up here, that there needed to be more female objectifying, because there was lots of male objectifying, and that's great. But there was a couple of female characters in this film, and they were really fit. And well, one of them, the pilot, was really fit, but no, love given on the other side of that dichotomy thing. To your point, Terry, the he should know better thing. I had a different take on that, and I don't know if I can convince you of it, but let me try. In Top Gun, he's breaking the rules and shoving it to the man and buzzing the tower and not protecting his wingman and going rogue and all that kind of stuff. And he's sacrificing his career for his ego and his reputation in the first film. And in the second film, he's matured himself and his recklessness and focused it. Now he just sacrifices his career for other people's career or their sake. He's doing it selflessly now. And I thought that was a good character arc to have between the two films that explained, why he's still in the cockpit and not an admiral by now, and how he's still even employed in the army, because it's not just all selfless. It's like, well, he did prove a point with his going against orders or whatever he does to do things his way. He disobeyed, but he did show that he's the only one for the job, or he did show that the project should go ahead. So we need him. So that kind of thing. So it was necessary to explain how he's even there at all. I had a fun experience which I recommend everyone try at home. Look up the cast of the original Top Gun and be amazed. Be absolutely amazed at the fact that the only person that still looks like they did, even remotely looks like what they did back then, is Tom Cruise. Yeah. Except for a distant second place with Michael Ironside, who kind of still looks like that, but it's not a good. It never was like he's never a handsome person, still handsome. He's like, that's Michael Ironside, and he still looks like that. But that was very impressive, because I looked up I was trying to get Charlie, the character's name, for my notes, and I was like, that doesn't look like her at all. Like, the actor who played Charlie in the first film. It's like, I wouldn't have recognized her. If someone showed me a picture, I'd be like, who's that? Even after watching Top Gun, I would have been like, is that your mother? Something, something like that. Let me see. Those are basically all of my points, except I really dug the vibe of this film, and I shouldn't have. Right. I don't know. It's in the vein of like a sports film.
Yeah. Nice, Simone. Thanks for hanging out. If I can jump in, Ben, and just continue to weave that thread. I want to jump to one of the first points you make, and that is, I remember when I heard that there was going to be a new Top Gun movie, and obviously I hadn't seen the original Top Gun, but it was the announcement came at the same time that all of these other unnecessary sequels are being made. Like, we're getting another Ghostbusters as an all-female cast. There's a new Zoolander. There's a new Anchorman. There's a new Dumb and Dumber. And it just hurt me. It's like, why are we going back to these wells? Why can't we just come up with a new? Why?
Yeah.
You've just done a Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow, fantastic new action sci-fi film. With rare exceptions, is it knocked out of the park? I'd say Mad Max Fury Road is kind of one of the only big entertainment franchises that have been gone for decades to come back and really, really nail it.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, oh man, like how is this going to work? And then I started seeing the sentiment. I'm like, oh wow, okay, this is shaping up to be really good. And to be quite fair, the more that I see of Tom Cruise in action films like this, like the stellar track record that the Mission Impossible franchise has as a whole, 6 films, a couple of early ones, a bit rough around the edges, but Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, all fantastic action films in their own right.
Yeah.
They keep getting better and better as they go. So my hope for this film was like, okay, Tom Cruise on board. He knows what it takes to make a great action film in 2022 or 2019, whenever it was meant to release. So I tweeted out when I coming out of it, I am so happy for like the 50-year-olds whose favorite film growing up was Top Gun, and then 36 years later they get this sequel. What, like, imagine if in 20 years time we get a sequel to Inception and it's as good if not better. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, anyway, so
like in another 10 years, then they release a Matrix sequel.
Right.
Another Matrix.
Yeah.
Instead of last year.
Instead of whatever that one was called. Yeah, and
it's somehow as good as the original Matrix. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, right? Like, and that's what it should have been. Like, Matrix Resurrections should have been like Top Gun Maverick. It should have been knocking out of the park. It's only going to come back if all the core people involved believe that they can do a better job, like as good, if not better job, topping that original. I adore this film. Right now, it's easily squared away in third place for my favorite films of the year, behind Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Batman. I want to go see it again, and it's just because, to your point, Ben, just around the vibe, it's just great, pure, dramatic action. It's a really, really simple tale, but it's told really, really well with great characters and actors at its core. Everyone is nailing everything they're doing in this. Tom Cruise, Jennifer Connelly, Miles Teller, Glenn Powell, recent rise to prominence. I think I mentioned it when we reviewed him in Hidden Figures, but I first, saw him in Everybody Wants Some, and he was fantastic then, like this cocky guy that has all the confidence in the world, and rightfully so, because he's a bloody specimen. Like, you give him Cap's shield and I'll be like, that fits, that's fine, like Chris Evans, you might have competition here, sort of thing. So yeah, and like Rockwad Will's just mentioned, we watched it in VMAX together as well. It is absolutely stunning. On top of that, like, I know that Tom Cruise, would have done X, Y, Z, but there wasn't much in this film that I didn't believe that he wouldn't have done. There's the obvious things that didn't actually happen, but for the most part, I'm like,
when he was proving himself, like he was doing the training run,
2 minute 15, in
2:15. But he was doing that shit.
Yeah.
He's smushing his own face against the back of his seat for our enjoyment, hitting 7 Gs or something in his jet, just for the doing of it, for the film.
Exactly. And you know how I know that I love it is that, like, I had this afternoon off, and half of that time while I was waiting for the apartment to settle, I was looking at interviews just with Tom Cruise, just to hear about like everything he had to do. He had to train all the other actors, and Miles Teller is talking about how it's like, yeah, we knew it'd be tough, but we didn't know it was going to be this tough. And they're vomiting in the cockpit for like the first couple of months, just getting used to putting their bodies in this situation. And that's the level of dedication that someone like Tom Cruise goes to make these films excellent. I think, filmmakers the world over who want to make great action movies need to be looking at his example as like, why isn't this much dedication to the craft taken for Star Wars? You know, like why did we
Yeah.
end up with what we ended up in the latest trilogy?
Especially when they've got the
Anything,
budget.
for
Anything,
every
anything.
When
movie.
they
Yeah.
have the budget.
Yeah.
Like you
If
could
if
say
you're in a
like
film,
we can't
if you're
afford to do X, Y, Z. Like we can't afford to put them in a jet. It's like, okay, that's fine, but what can you afford to do? How far can you push it?
I
Yeah.
want to see like someone's life's work. I want to see someone's at their very best. Every film I watch, you know,
100%.
it's
Yeah.
very cannon foddery approach to it. Like, well, this is the best you'll ever do, and it will take you a lifetime to achieve this again, so you're out, kind of deal. But yeah, Tom Cruise keeps doing it over and over
Yeah.
again. Like, I really love his. Like, I'm very thankful for his dedication to cinema.
Yeah, and
And then-
it was even in a meta sense for me in this film. Like when the credits were rolling, I was chatting to Will about it. It did some fantastic cinema stuff. Like it dodged a lot of the tropes that we see in other in other films. For example, there's one scene where one character, they're up in the air and looks like they're about to be in trouble. And you know, as an audience member, you expect them to survive. You know, something's almost going to go incredibly wrong. But you know, these characters survive. They're going to save the day. We're only in the second act. You know, it's that mentality, right? And then of course that happens. Like, okay, cool, he's safe. That's fine. But then, out of nowhere, something else shit hits the fan, and all of a sudden, you know, everything's twisted on its head. I compare it to that scene in Chef where it's at night. They've just come off the back of a really great little success story, I think, in Miami. It's dark. Leguizamo's behind the van. He's tired. And in my head, watching that for the first time, I'm like, okay, this is where the twist happens, where something negative needs to befall our heroes, and they have to pick themselves back up again. But lo and behold, Favreau takes it in a completely humorous, fun, refreshing direction, and all of a sudden, he's powdering his balls with flour, you know?
Yeah, cornstarch.
That's it, with cornstarch. And then we're on to the next jaunty, happy moment, you know, with our little crew, and it's just like it completely blew my expectations away, and that's what this film did as well. And then even more so in the third act that you described so eloquently, Ben, in the sense that it just delivers and delivers and delivers. Firstly, they go on this mission that is meant to be like the most impossible mission ever, really, in the history of American aviation. It sounds like, or it seems like. But then, without any, actually, I might save this for spoilers. I'm gonna backpedal a bit on that point because we'll do verdicts soon. What I think, just in wrapping up my initial thoughts, like this film delivered in spades for me. I absolutely adored it. I want to go see it again, and I just want more like clean, pure action like this. You know, I don't need the whole universe to be snapped away. You know what I mean? Like this was just a great tale of just like this, you know, this one character who is just trying to find his way in life, and he's put in this situation where he needs to deal with some personal drama between him and, you know, the son of his former best friend, and all of a sudden we're delivered this gem of a film. Like it's pretty remarkable in my eyes. And also like just on those action scenes as well, like that 2-minute 15-second run, it blows my mind how thrilling it is. Like they crafted that, and the way it's edited, it's literally just Tom Cruise in a cockpit, just moving left and right, and the camera's tilting backwards and forwards, and it's just jet noises. And somehow I haven't been breathing for the last 5 minutes because I'm thrilled as an audience member.
And then you just go back to the classroom where everyone's watching him or whatever on the screen, and then you see the screen and you see his little plane,
and someone's like,
and you see the
"Oh
clock.
my god, he's gonna do it!" You know, like it's really remarkable filmmaking in my eyes. It's 100% don't miss it from me.
I don't think I really want to know the answer, but why doesn't Maverick ever have a radar operator in the back? Like he's always alone in his jet, and everyone else flies in twos.
Depends on the generation of the aircraft.
Well, at the end when they run the mission, they're all in F-18s, and he's in one too, but he's on his own again. It's just him. And he has to do the targeting himself, and
are you sure about that?
He was waiting on Bob to make the target, like paint the target, and then he would lock onto that heat signature. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had a wingman. Like they both flew in twos, and Yeah, so the other plane was doing targeting. You're right, but when
Yeah.
he proved that it could be done in 215, he's doing it all. He's targeting
he
the
did the
thing
whole
and
thing.
firing the missile
Yeah.
and holding the lock while he's pulling up and hitting the G's and blacking out and
Yeah.
spinning out over the top.
And yes,
Yeah.
like I've mentioned this before, I love watching movies with Will because literally on the edge of his seat. Like I'm reclined back and Will like moves forward to get onto the edge of his seat. And it's incredible to watch. Anyway,
I'd love to see Will watch this and then straight as soon as it's done, like credits, we'll let the credits roll and then it goes straight into West Side Story and he has to watch the whole thing to the end.
way to bring him down. It's a don't miss it from me. Ben, I take it it's green across the board.
Green, don't even miss it. Walk, run, don't walk.
I was talking to my brother this afternoon, and I said, Aaron, like, he doesn't watch many movies. Like, I can't remember the last time he went to the cinema, and he hasn't seen the first one. But I'm like, dude, this is just it's that good that here I am trying to convince someone who rarely goes to cinema. Like, no, don't miss this experience in the cinema, please. Like, this is Tom Cruise, he's 60 years old in less than a month. Like, July 3 is his birthday, actually Mum's birthday. Like, he's not going to be able to be doing this for much longer. Let's savor these moments, please. Like, my most anticipated movie right now is the next Mission Impossible film. By a long shot. Because I know we're not going to get another one like that for another 3 years.
I walked out of this film, and the first thing I was confronted with was a poster of a huge cardboard cutout thing for the new Jurassic movie.
Oh yeah.
And I embarrassed myself inside a little bit by rolling my eyes at it and going like, when are they going to find a new movie idea? And I'm like, I just come out of Top Gun Part 2, the topping of the gun.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter that they'd gone back to this well because they'd somehow nailed it. And then I'm looking at I'm looking at Laura Dern and Goldblum Neil on the poster, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna suck. And then I walked on.
And then you're like, when does Thor come out?
Yeah.
Anyway, quick spoilers for me. What I was mentioning was I can't believe in that third act, the stakes are at 10, right? In terms of it's the most impossible mission that they could go on, and then the film, they spoilers complete the mission, but the escape goes awry, and then they're put into an even more impossible situation.
Yeah,
and it's. And then in my head, I do what you do, Ben, where you realize like, holy shit, it's not over. It's like we've got another great action scene right in front of us right now.
I'm so glad you said that, because as soon as I had that same exact.
I'm like,
oh my god,
yes. Yeah. And I love that they set that up right. They set up maybe Maverick's not coming back from this mission. It's like, I'll talk to you when we're back on deck. It's Jennifer Connelly. If I don't see you again. I'm like, I think he's going to sacrifice himself to save Rooster here, Yeah, so, oh man, I loved everything that this movie was doing. I don't know if you guys have any more spoiler thoughts you want to share.
No, I don't. I do. I will. The way he engaged when that decision dropped. I'm like, that's exactly what you needed to do. Like, you've got to take one of them out of the fight straight away.
Yep.
So that you're not contending with more than one of these. But that whole sequence where he's like, he's like, what the did that guy just do? It's like, just mind-boggling kind of.
Just the whole tension building, like seeing that second wingman drop in, back behind the F-14, man, and just like the way that they clearly displayed how lacking in maneuverability the F-14 was in comparison. Like even though they said it, I saw it as well. You could tell that this thing is moving at a snail's pace compared to what he was up against.
Those advanced planes were doing this crazy thing where they would like turn into the wind to like catch it like a sail and slow down. Yeah. And like yawing at the same time, so they could
like bloody X-wings, man.
change their approach as they're doing that. It's craziness.
Yeah.
The one thought I had, do you guys know who flew with Rooster? Because that guy died.
No, that's what I'm saying. There was one pilot per plane.
Right.
Like they didn't have the targeter was in the second plane. So
Yeah, I get you, but you need a guy on radar to
I don't I
do all the
don't
stuff.
Did he
that,
have someone?
I don't think you do in the F-18s.
Don't you?
The Tomcats you do.
Because it was
F-14.
it was
The F-18
Phoenix
Super
and Bob.
Hornets.
Phoenix and Bob were flying behind Maverick, right? Like Phoenix was flying, Bob does the targeting.
Maybe you're right.
The F-18 Super Hornet. I'm pretty sure it's a single seater. There might be.
Hangman didn't have someone with him when he was taking off and saves the day at the end.
True.
Yeah,
That's true. Maybe I had a completely wrong the whole time. Yeah, that's that then.
There you go.
Yeah, single seater.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
The movie just got even better. So I was like, plot hole,
But yeah, I'm at that stage where I'm like,
Oh wait, no, there are double seater configurations as well.
okay, well maybe they had both. Anyway,
But now you're making me. Now I have to see the movie again.
yeah.
Like,
but that's what I was just going to say. Like, I am blissfully aware that, not blissfully aware, I am aware that like there's only one VMAX cinema, and that starting probably this Thursday, it's going to be dominated by Jurassic World. So how many VMAX sessions of Top Gun are there going to be left in the next 2 weeks? I need to go see this in VMAX again. So that's how much I've enjoyed this film. I'm actively thinking about, I need to arrange my week in a way where I get to see this film again in VMAX, because I'm not seeing it in anything less. Yeah. Rockwad, Mission Impossible Maverick. Oh yeah, let's get a crossover.
I think
Ethan
it's
Hunt and
the
Captain
difference
Maverick.
between the F-18 Hornet and the F-18 Super Hornet. The Hornet appears to be two-seated, and the Super Hornet is single-seated. At least according to the Google Images stuff that I'm finding.
The Maverick's plane looked like a single seater. Like it wasn't like there's no one in the back seat. It was like he gets like a different, cooler plane than everyone. That's weird. They trained for it in the F-18. They should all be in the same planes or whatever. I don't know. I was confused. I was a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Frazzled is what I was.
Anyway,
I was at my wit's end because I'd just been watching this movie, just like shocked that it could be so good up until now.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, it is out in cinemas right now. It's green across the board. Do not miss this film in the cinemas. Don't wait for it to come to Paramount Plus. It deserves to be watched on the big screen. 100%.